The Suns, Game 7, embarrassing loss. The Mavericks beat them 123-90 in Game 7. Luka masterclass. I mean, we know he's an all-time great already at this young age. 35 points. Dinwiddie had 30. I remember I told you guys, Dinwiddie was is better than Porzingis. I told you the trade was good.
He's a better fit. Yeah.
Dinwiddie and Bertans better than Porzingis. And Brunson at 24. And Luka is just magical. Now, Rev, you said you had a lot to say, so you can go first, and Drew here can speak on the Suns' downfall if he wants to as well.
Last summer, right? We weren't as big as we was today, obviously. Last summer, me and Joel said, Warriors going to the finals, right? This last summer. You said, I might ride with the Lakers, but the Suns were your next team. Obviously, the Lakers were a fanboy pick because there was no way in hell they were going to the finals, right? So we fast forward. We get in here, dig into the season. You ride with the Suns. Suns in the West. They've been the most dominant team. And you weren't wrong. In the regular season, up until Draymond got hurt, after that, they were the most dominant team in the league. They were playing phenomenal, playing impressive basketball. Then they go to play Dallas. I picked Suns in 7. I think you picked Suns in 6
Suns
or 7. So you went for the wild card. You said, you know what? I'm going to trust Luka. I'm going to trust the heliocentric offense. I'm going to go Mavs in 7. Boy, that might have been the greatest take of this playoffs this year.
Whoa.
Easily.
Boston? That was a good pick.
That was a elite pick.
It was.
Phoenix.
No, that is because there's no way.
After game 2, Jason Kidd figured it out.
Yep.
He needed 2 games to figure out Monty Williams, Mr. Coach of the Year, almost unanimously, Monty Williams' system. He figured it out after 2 games. Shout out to Dorian Finney-Smith. Shout out to Spencer Dinwiddie.
100%.
Shout out to Jalen Brunson. Shout out to Luka, of course. Shout out to Dwight Powell. Shout out to Maxi Kleber. They didn't let Chris Paul go left. I mean, they made Chris Paul go left all the time. He struggled in his career making passes out the left, getting to his spots out the left. They made him go left. They jumped on the screens. As soon as they set a screen, they're on him. They realized this man is old. We're on him. If he's going to beat us, he's going to beat us, but we're on him. Trap Devin Booker. Devin Booker probably hasn't seen many double teams in his career in the playoffs. They trapped him. Got the ball out of his hands. Mikal Bridges, he needs to work on his offense. DeAndre Ayton, force-feeding him isn't going to win the Suns the game, in my opinion. Dallas' defense was great. Offensively, they're a three-point shooting machine. Luka put everybody in the corner, go to work. Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, Jay Crowder, it didn't really matter. They had nobody to stop him. And it's honestly, a lot of teams should really thank Kawhi because he was the one putting the leash on, stopping Luka from really putting a blueprint on the league. And it's funny because now you look at last year and you look at the season. Kawhi plays, they clearly win the WCF. You know, I think it's pretty obvious at this point. But nonetheless, Phoenix still had an incredible regular season. You know, we can't knock that. 60-plus wins. They made it to the second round. Devin Booker's still young. But like we was watching Monty Williams in the post game, somebody asked him, "You didn't learn from last year?" Like he it was just like weird. Last year they were up 2-0 against the Bucks, lost 4 straight. Mike Budenholzer, I'm not gonna say mid, an above average coach, figured it out after game 2. Giannis, just go, play bully ball. They can't stop you. He did it. I think the Suns will be back next year in terms of they'll still be competitive. I think they still have the blueprint in the regular season to be a dominant regular season team. I think teams like that share the ball, that play defense, that can score the ball at that efficient rate, I think they'll always be great in the regular season. That's why Utah Jazz, I feel like, have been good in the regular season always because they are efficient. They can guard in the regular season. They don't have to see teams back to back to back where they can figure you out. And I think that for that, the Suns will be great in the regular season. But they have a Chris Paul problem in the sense of it's not because he's not an all-time great. Chris Paul is going to go down as one of the 4 best point guards in NBA history. He's 37. Apparently he has an injury, a leg injury, hamstring, quad. That's not good. That's not a good injury, especially for somebody that's 37. He also didn't play well at all. So now you're looking at your timeline. Devin Booker's young. Ayton is probably gone.
You think gone?
He's leaving.
He's probably gone. Bridges has to get better now. This is not a you can take your time thing now. You have to get better now.
I agree.
Like we know what type of player he is.
We do, but I'm just telling what they're thinking. Like Bridges, Bridges has to get better now. Booker has to take another level. I know he might not think there's not another level, but my brother, there is another level to your game that you have to take. and they have to figure out their point guard situation. Cam Payne is really whack, but other than that, Chris Paul being 37, I still think they'll be a great team in the regular season next year. But with the Clippers coming back, Denver is going to be back and probably going to be better. Then you got the Pels on the rise. Then Dallas is still going to be here. The Warriors are still going to be here. Minnesota, I said the Clippers. I always say them first. Minnesota's going to be here. You got to respect LeBron and AD to a degree.
Thank you.
So they'll be around. Portland, they can make some moves. So it's going to be a dangerous West next year. And I think with Chris Paul aging.
Did you say Pelicans, right?
I did say the Pelicans.
Denver.
I did say Denver. With Chris Paul aging and what's his contract? What, 2 years?
Two more years, 30 mil.
A piece? Oh, 60 mil? Oh, wow. I thought 30, like 15, 60 mil.
It's too late for that.
Suns, it's sad to say, but the Suns might have had the biggest 2-year peak in NBA history.
Like choke job, you mean? Like
no, like this might be it.
I don't know what you mean by that.
Like they just went first year out of nowhere, 50+ wins, second seed, went to the finals. Second year, 60+ wins, dog walked the regular season. Second round, next year it could be a play-in. Next year it could be a 7th, 8th seed.
You're getting rude.
No, the reason why he's right is because DeAndre Ayton
is gone.
98% believe he's leaving because they don't want to pay him the max. You want to pay DeAndre Ayton $35 million a year?
No.
Okay.
No.
There's a team out there that will do it. I don't think the Suns will. Chris Paul, quad injury, 37. Let's just say he regresses to like a Mike Conley level.
Which we've been trying to push for a minute.
It's over. Like you mentioned, the West is loaded. You got Denver coming back with Jamal Murray, MPJ. You have Dallas who's going to be there. You have the Clippers with Kawhi coming back. You have the
Warriors still around.
Warriors are still
Minnesota
around.
is getting better.
Minnesota is getting better.
Pels are getting Zion
Pelicans
back.
are getting better. They're getting Zion
Portland
back.
has money.
Portland has money. They can spend. LeBron and AD, they're bringing back Westbrook. They're going to see if they can run it back and make it work.
You can't not.
Whatever.
Yeah, you got to respect it.
I feel confident that there are at least 5 to 7 teams that I trust going forward more than the Phoenix Suns.
At least in the playoff series, yes.
The Suns can be a play-in team.
Denver with their guys, I trust them in the playoff series more than Phoenix. I really do. The Joker at the helm, Jamal Murray, and MPJ back to that third role, I really do trust Denver in the playoffs before them.
You know, in your monologue, Riv, you mentioned Mikal and, you know, how he has to improve and stuff and all that. You mentioned that.
You about to knock him?
No, I'm not about to knock him. I'm actually about to say this because this is actually a point I'm going to say to you, Drew, and I'll pass it over to you. You can talk. Then I'll finish off.
I thought you were ready. I thought you were waiting for this moment on the show.
It's just I am, but I'll let you go first because I'm actually interested in this. Because remember when we were talking about the Suns and, you know, I was saying, you know, outside of really Chris Paul and Devin Booker, they don't have shot creators. You know, I don't really rely on Ayton or Mikal. And I was like,
Cam Johnson was their leading scorer.
And I was like, Cam Johnson, I don't think he's going to have 20-point explosions. And you were like, don't sleep on that. Well, he had 12, right?
He was their leading scorer. He was their leading scorer.
The most points he's had this series was 14. And I was
He's a role player.
Game.
Good role player.
But you were talking about how he can have 20-point explosions.
I was saying if he had more opportunity.
Okay.
He's a good role player.
Come on. Don't try and single me out like that. You know what I was saying, you bastard. You're a bastard.
You overrated Cam Johnson.
No, I did not.
Yes,
he was their leading scorer yesterday. That's terrible.
No, after that game he had, that masterclass he had, you were geeked.
I was. Yeah, because y'all just think that he's mid.
Corey Brewer had 50.
No, I don't. I think he's a really serviceable role player.
Really? I
think he's good.
You act like he can be a starter and average like 20.
That's not what I like. You love to take what I say.
I do
and
think
blow
he can
it
be
up.
a starter eventually.
Yes, he can
I think
be.
On a team, he can be a starter. Yeah.
Like Dorian Finney-Smith.
I was gonna say like a Jay Crowder, but I don't know. Is that bad?
You think he can be like a Desmond Bain?
No.
Okay. That's how you made it sound, though.
You trying to knock
No, it's not.
I'm not making it
no,
sound like
it's
that.
not. I'm tired of you doing
So
that.
you want to give your monologue? Or you want me to go first?
Go. I want. No,
Okay.
you've been waiting for this.
All right.
I'm very
All right.
excited to hear it.
Stop trying to knock Desmond Bain, man.
Right now, you. I'm glad you're starting to see the light on Bain.
Respect him. Just don't like his game. I hate his arms.
Why?
I really hate how
I mean, he's oct. What's wrong with? Come on, bro.
Remember when he dove on the floor and he got up like against Minnesota?
Yo, he's nice. He's nice.
Here we go. Somebody get the camera out. 4K.
Luka Doncic is my guy. Yeah. Go on my Twitter right now, Joel V. Moran. You're gonna see Luka Doncic fan. It's right there.
Used to be Ann Edwards. What happened to that?
It's Luka's time right now.
He is unbelievable.
It's Luka times and
He's like it's like he's playing hopscotch with the NBA right now.
This is the thing. Luka's just an all-time great already. I've seen. He's one of the best players I've ever seen. He's averaging 39 points in elimination games. And let's just get to the Suns because this is who I really want to talk about. Then I'll go into some analysis about the game, but I really want to get this point across. The Suns trailed by 46 points at one point. The largest deficit in Game 7 in the last 25 years.
They laughed at us.
I know how embarrassing this feels. It was one time I was on the AU team. We was losing by 50. So I understand this feeling. It's not a good one. The 2022 Suns are the second team in NBA history to win 64-plus games and not make the conference finals. And fun fact, actually, four of the teams that have won 64 games in history have never made the NBA finals. So luck wasn't on their side.
Do you know the teams?
I don't know the teams. Actually, before I get on to what I'm actually going to say, I'm going to talk about the game a little bit because I don't want it to come across as
my balls are blue as sin.
Slandering Chris Paul too much. This is what I'm going to say. The Mavs figured out the Suns, like you said. But the Suns had a bad shot profile all season long, and JJ briefly mentioned it on First Take, but I'll elaborate on it, is that they take a lot of mid-range shots, a lot of twos. They're 28th in three-point attempts per game. They take a lot of mid-range shots, a lot of long twos, and if you look at charts between DeAndre Ayton, Devin Booker, and Chris Paul, they are all above league average shooting those shots. But Chris Paul specifically, he is like skyrocketing up, which means that Chris Paul was hitting his mid-range shot at an absurd, efficient, hot streak rate that just wasn't sustainable. And then you talk about Devin Booker. Jason Kidd trapped him in Game 7, something he hadn't done all series. In Game 7, he decided to trap him and really blitz him on these pick and rolls. Devin Booker couldn't pass over Dwight Powell. He was afraid to make those passes.
Donovan Mitchell.
He, to me, was the worst player in that game, not Chris Paul. Chris Paul has been the worst player of the two the past couple of games, but in Game 7, Devin Booker, to me, was the worst player. But it's just a credit to Jason Kidd and his adjustments.
100%.
Frank Ntilikina getting minutes and guarding Devin Booker. Booker shot 15% against him in this series. DeAndre Ayton, in Game 7, just talking about the game, Devin Booker couldn't hit a shot. He was getting blitzed. Chris Paul had some mid-range early on. He didn't hit. Mikal Bridges couldn't hit a shot. DeAndre Ayton was missing point-blank shots at the rim. And then he had 2 back-to-back offensive fouls. He was subbed out after that, and we only saw 3 more minutes out of him after that happened. I think that was the start of an altercation and why Monty didn't play him the entire way. But truthfully, he was getting abused. Luka was posting him up, backing him up back to the basket. Dinwiddie was hunting for him. DeAndre Ayton could not hang with these guys. These dudes are different. Luka is different.
Luka backed him down. That's when any deal Ayton had with the Suns went out the window.
The Suns were crazy efficient, and specifically like when guarding Chris Paul, like teams have played drop coverage on him in the past, which is why he was able to have an all-time series against Denver. Last series he played well. But when you play up on him and you take him away from that elbow mid-range jumper, he looks a lot like this. So I'm wondering how things are going to look like going forward. And that's why I'm not really high on the Suns moving forward. But with all that being said, people are being very reactionary to Chris Paul, and there's Pat Bev went on the whole media tour. We'll talk about that shortly. But he deserves this. And we know Chris Paul as the point guard, and I had this thought yesterday. The point guard title has to be officially removed and revoked for Chris Paul. We can never call him that again. And people may say it's reactionary, but it's not reactionary when Chris Paul has blown 5-2-0 series lead. No other player has blown 4. 1 with the Hornets, 2 with the Clippers, and now 2 with the Suns. He's only been with the Suns 2 years. He's done it. He's lost 4 straight Game 7s, and for the past 5 games, he's averaged 9 points, 6 assists, and 4 turnovers. We just witnessed one of the worst postseason losses in history. This was a Game 7. You want to know who owns the worst postseason loss in NBA history? It's Chris Paul, 2009 with the Hornets versus the Nuggets. He lost by 58 points. He's made the conference finals twice, in 2018 with Houston and in 2021 with the Suns. On both those teams, he wasn't the best player. It was James Harden in Houston and Devin Booker with the Suns.
58 points.
If he has never been the best player on a team to make the conference finals or the NBA finals, how is he the point guard? If he routinely blows series leads, how is he the point guard? Point guard would mean you have control of the game. You are the master at controlling the flow and tempo of the game. So how come he's always losing that control and tempo? You can't be called the point guard anymore. You just can't. And that's what I got to say about Chris Paul. I feel like it's over for that nickname. I think Steve Nash and Jason Kidd are more deserving of that nickname than Chris Paul. Jason Kidd, 2 NBA Finals appearances as the man with the Nets. Steve Nash, 2-time MVP, won 60 games with the Suns without his second best player, Amari Stoudemire. Those 2 guys are way more deserving of that title than Chris Paul.
Nash, the point guard for sure.
So do you have Nash and Kidd over CP3 all time?
CP3 has the stats.
As a ball player.
Here we go. Might be reactionary.
I still have Chris Paul over them.
I think that's a good opinion.
But
right there.
the point guard thing is done. Like, it's done, bro.
You'll give it to Nash. You'll give it to Kidd.
It's just done. It's just.
I think Kidd should have had it from the jump.
Another thing I'll say is in 2018, I agree. No doubt about it. James Harden was the best player on that team. Could you argue that CP3 was the most important?
No.
Why not?
Because Harden was just MVP Harden.
Listen, I don't disagree. He was the best player without a doubt. CP3 and what he brought to that team.
CP3 brought something great to that
most
team.
Important.
But was he the leader of that team?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is he the most important player on that team? No. The most important player on teams is the best player. Unless it's like a 1A, 1B situation. James Harden was averaging 30. James Harden.
I have a question for you.
The game plan for the Warriors was to stop Harden.
But can I ask you a question? Steph Curry is the best player on the Warriors. Yes.
Yep.
You have told me the most important is Draymond Green.
Yeah.
You have done that a lot.
I have done it.
That's I don't disagree with that though. I don't disagree with that.
Yeah, you got me. There's no doubt. You just got me. You got me in a tangle. I'm trying to unscramble. But I know you don't believe Draymond's the most important player.
I said I agree with you.
Okay.
I agree that Draymond is the most important because we saw Draymond come out. The Warriors defensively took a huge hit. The reason why you guys are as great as you are is because defensively,
I'm not even
Draymond.
get into the back and forth.
Is Steph the most important?
He is.
No, so now you're flipped.
I'm flip-flopping. I'm flip-flopping because you trapped me into a corner.
But I don't disagree with you, though.
No, this is the thing. I think Draymond is the heart and soul, and he's the leader of the Warriors. But the Warriors would not be able to run any offense if it's not for Steph.
I agree.
So that's why he's the most important.
Curry.
So now you're going back.
Most important
because he's allowed to do that because he's Joel Moran.
Most important offensively is Steph. Most important defensively is Draymond.
The offense is called Steph Curry.
Of course. That's given facts.
But he flip-flopped.
That was crazy right there.
He did flip-flop insanely.
Because I agreed with him.
That was a crazy
So
flip-flop.
I was willing to have him agree with me on what I was saying. He refused to.
I can't allow you to say Chris Paul is the most important player on those Rockets.
He was.
No, he wasn't.
It was the 4K.
It was the 4K. But it's all right.
And maybe the logic you use behind it is that in Game 6 and 7, Harden didn't win without CP3. Well, yeah, because now the talent gap just became this to this. I mean, Harden with CP3 versus that team, there was still a massive talent gap.
Oh, I mean, for sure. We're talking about one of the greatest teams that
the only reason they were able
together.
to take them to 7 was because of the offense that Mike D'Antoni built around James Harden.
That CP3 knew how to run.
No, James Harden was the guy.
But who's
running the offense? What do you mean? They took turns. Yeah. It was just one guy go, one guy don't go, one guy drive, kick it out. It's literally what the Mavericks are doing right now. It's the same type of thing.
So, just to give my analysis on this game, it was ugly.
Yeah.
When we were live streaming, we were talking about everything under the sun except for this Suns and Mavs game because it was just not something that you wanted to watch. One of the most disappointing Game 7 weekends we've ever seen in our lifetimes. 2 terrible games, and this one was even worse than the first. This game was really, really bad because you expected this game to be, at the minimum, competitive. Regardless of which way it shook out, you were expecting the winner of this game to at least fight for it at the very end. It was never that. The first quarter, Suns came out flat, couldn't score, only scored 14 points in the first quarter. Luka Doncic outscored the Suns by himself in the first half. That's all you need to know about the Suns' offensive output last night. Devin Booker was bad. Chris Paul was bad. For Cam Johnson to be the team's leading scorer speaks volumes to how bad the stars of the Suns played last night.
He was bad too, though. He got dropped.
Now, it was a push, but he did get dropped.
Hey, it doesn't matter. He got dropped.
No, he got dropped. Listen, no one cares about it. If you're on the floor and you make
Phoenix
the three,
was bad. Everybody played bad.
There was not a single player last night for the Suns that played well. Like, we're talking about the 10th player in the rotation.
Landry Shamet.
Should have played them more.
For the Suns to come out as flat as they did on their own home court, this is one of the biggest all-time gags of all time. You have a team that had been so consistently dominant in this regular season. They're trying to right their wrongs of losing in the finals last year, and to come out as flat as you did on your own home court in a Game 7, for Chris Paul, one of the biggest games of his life, for Devin Booker, going against Luka Doncic, who you have been back and forth with throughout the series, you get outplayed the last two games, was embarrassing. There's no way that you can look at the two and ever think that Booker can reach Luka. You're 100% right. Luka has solidified himself as being one of those that's on that trajectory of being an all-time great in this game.
Booker ain't even better than PG, man.